everybody, and thank you for joining me for another session of the Apizone's Swing Pub. So, we are going to be talking about futures, forex, ETFs, all the above in the bigger time frames. So, uh, I do assume that you know what the Apizone software is. It is a supply and demand zone software. I'm a levels-based trader. So if you're not familiar with the software, then you can go check out the website and learn more there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right to the charts. So today I have a very special guest with me. My buddy Nick is with me here today, so he's going to be doing some analysis with me. And as we are both into swing trading forex markets. And Nick, are you there?
Yes, sir. Just unmute my mic.
Oh, there you are. Okay, good deal. So he will be popping in from time to time. I may ask you, Nick, for your analysis on a few of these markets here. But
Okay.
what we're really trying to do is just see where the markets could be heading, and what we've kind of done. I've done a few things on the forex markets here, but during the recording today, we will mostly be going over what has happened in the past as well as what we see happening in the future. So first off, we're going to start off with the big weekly chart here on Aussie yen. Okay. So I see us reloading up into this big weekly zone. It looks like we're starting to put in a good sized wick right there. And then coming down on our context chart, which is the daily charts, the epitrender is up. I've identified where those weekly levels are. And it looked like last week we were looking at a double top pattern over here, bouncing off of that level. And let me clean up the zones just a little bit, just so that we can follow along. So it looks like we're bouncing off the bottom of that daily zone right there that's now brown. And I was looking for a push to the downside. Well, guess what? That did not happen. So we are pushing up even higher now. And we're coming to the top part of that daily zone. We are still in the big weekly zone, but our trend is up. So now we have to think to ourselves, is this a strong area or a weak area here on the Aussie yen? And in my mind, this down here is very interesting. Okay, if we look at the bottom levels down here, what this represents to me is a stair-step effect. Okay, now I'm not going to get too into that, but that is interesting how prices kind of stair-stepped there. So I think it would be interesting to draw a trend line from the bottom side up here, just to see where that plays out. All right, so you can kind of see we've already bounced off that trend line one time down here. It could still push to the downside, but I'm thinking that considering how deep that retracement is up here to the top side, I just want to wait and see. I want to wait and see confirmation coming out of one of these levels, either to the downside, so maybe something in this range, or to the high. But I realize that this is at the very top part of supply or resistance. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at on this market, and then for my entries, I will go down into the 60-minute time frames, which I'm not going to do because right now I'm not really seeing anything that looks extremely interesting here. So let's switch over to another market. Now, Nick, do you look at any of the Aussie markets, just out of curiosity?
Yes, I do. I just had a nice little pullback that was kind of interesting that I was looking at um, to a nice little level. Yeah, kind of to the right, to where that trend line broke out.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I kind of like that little area in there for if I was thinking for like a short term long or something. But
Hmm.
that's a great area to, I like you said, I like to see it come up and let's see where because we're in a great area to short up in there.
Right.
Same kind of action as the other chart is, just looking for a cleaner setup in there. Some double
Hmm.
tops. I could see it going deeper in there. Um, the way this thing's been trending up, I was almost thinking of sneaking it along and see how deep I can go into the zone and then short it back down, but that's a little aggressive.
Right. Of course, we've had a lot of chop in here, you know, and that uptrend has been completely flat, but now we've like been breaking out to the upside, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it kind of depends on whether or not you're going to pull your trend from the daily, or if you're going to try to do the weekly big push, you know. Um, so if we're running with a trend from the daily, though, I could easily see buying a pullback. Well, pretty much right around in here somewhere, somewhere in that level. Let's go look at what it looks like on the 60-minute. So on the 60-minute level, that's what we see. Okay. And I want to buy low and sell high, right? So I want a retest of a support level. I want price to come back into this and tell me that it's failed to do this and then push higher. So that's what I would be looking for right now. Is that what you would think too, Nick? Or what's your perspective?
The way this thing's been stair stepping up, I can easily just see this trend continuing up there higher and past those 82s, or maybe stall out right up there for a double top possibly. Um, but we could definitely get up into those 8300s.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And it does really feel like it's stair stepping here on the daily. Like that's
mhm.
just.
Well, and we're holding a nice support, and we broke a nice support area right around that like 7950s area, yeah, right about there.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be something to lean on, and plus that uptrend line right there to lean on, and plus a little breakout zone in there. We could have another pop back up, at least for a double top. If
Mm-hmm.
any,
Yeah, so you really want to wait to see the retest the high. Yes, we're inside the weekly, but it doesn't seem to be affecting
definitely
it so much.
some clear PA up in there before I'd even want to heavily short that.
So I'm going to make a couple little lines here. And we're going to say that this is a TF. And I'm bringing and I'm pulling the trend follow, or the TF, off of, we're making new highs, you know, um, on the daily charts. Okay. So on my entry chart, I want to, be running with what I see in my bigger context, Um, and then the CT, I would say, would be the short, but it really needs to break some support before I'm looking to do that there. So that's what I'm looking at for the up and coming week on that one. So I totally agree with you there, my friend. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so we've had the downtrend. Let's see what all these drawings are. Okay, so we broke this trend line. Looks like we didn't make it that big of a lower low, and that was from a few weeks ago. But we've popped back up, and in this one, I kind of feel like we're stuck in a range. Um,
Yeah, kind of pinballing right now.
hmm So could we just go back and forth for a while? I think so. You know,
Yeah, easily.
um, it's just it's getting stuck. You know,
Well, and even if you did break out to the north on that, you're not going too far. I don't see it.
Right. So I'm just going to call this a range market, you know. And on the range, you want to be buyer on the low side, seller on the high side, you know. So um, don't get it too complicated.
Yeah.
But
Make get your T2 before you break the range, and then put T3 outside of it or something.
hmm yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Let me load a few more days in here on this chart. And let's move on to our next. All right, so that was the Aussie yen and the euro pound. Let's take a look at the euro pound. Oh, the euro pound. This is pretty cool. I've been busy on this one, but anyway, the trend is down, or at least on the weekly chart, it looks like our trend is down, and we're not really to that point yet of we've kind of retested this level up here, but now we're kind of in the middle in between these two weekly levels. Okay, so on the daily chart, we have some interesting stuff going on here. Uh, this thing has come up to the trender. You can kind of see where the trender's been, and how it's been coming down here. So again, this is low and this is high up here, right? This is the weekly levels that I have outlined on this one. So the idea is to, buy low, sell high, or vice versa. So if prices bouncing off of this thing, off of this aqua zone, is soon to turn blue, because that's the way the levels are on here. They turn colors after a couple bars, and then I would be looking to play it up to the most recent extreme up there. So, so then it's just a matter of like when price was down in this level, what smaller time frame levels do we have in place down here? And there we have none. Okay, uh, fresh levels, no zones right there. So what you could do is wait for the failure of price, or basically like a little pullback, and that's what we see here happening on the 60-minute time frame. So in something like this, we had a new level that was created, and then we had the retest of that level. Okay, and you can see right here that we got a nice like little pop to the upside. Boom, boom. And I love those quick little pops like that. So those are my favorite to take. And yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I look for, and it's just absolutely awesome. And then you could take from the entry over here, if you're taking the quick pop on the smaller time frame, you could be looking to play the outer extreme of that level all the way up there for like a T2 or something. Nick, do you have anything to mention on this at all?
I, I couldn't agree any more than that. I like it.
Yeah. Now, to the upside here, if you're playing it from this bottom zone up, this would be a counter trend play. Looking at where that trender is and in context is telling us this is a counter trend play. But if you know that you're doing a counter trend play, at some point the trend's going to reverse, and it's going to go from a counter trend to more like a reversal, or a new trend type of thing. So could this happen and break into new highs? Absolutely, but this may happen over the next couple months, so we'll just see how it goes. Okay, now for the euro Yen. Do you watch this one at all? Do you watch any of the yen pairs?
I'm trying. I think I have it covered up by your charts. I'm looking for it right now. I think it's covered up.
Okay. All right. You're on my screen now.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to drag your screen down.
No worries.
Hell.
I guess this is one of those cases where you need more monitors, huh? uh, but anyway, looking at this, uh, obviously we've been pushing down, and right now we're coming up to resistance right here. This is definitely the top part of that resistance. Um, Overall, on the weekly, this has kind of been an uptrend, for the past couple years. Looks like we've been in an uptrend, and right now we're getting a good sized pullback. So this is definitely a very interesting place right here. So as far as the daily context chart that I like to pull my context from, the trender has flipped over to the green side here, but we really have to find out what's going to happen at the top part of this zone before I'm really ready to commit to the long. Okay, so I'm going to draw a couple more arrows here. Um, just because I know that this level is on my big weekly chart right here at 68. I'm really waiting to see what happens here. Okay, so technically upside is trend follow, but I want to wait all the way until it clears this brown zone, and then obviously counter trend to the short side. All right, but we have a decision point to really come to and see what's there. So we'll just be watching that as that comes to fruition, however it does. So if I look on my 60-minute charts, I don't see any zones right there. I might have to load maybe 90 days or so on my 60-minute just to see if there's anything right around there, or load in enough days to where that brown zone was created, which was on 125. So I'm going to have to push it back a little bit more than that. But I still don't see anything right there. Okay, so there's a level off of my 60-minute chart, but I'm not seeing anything right there that gives me a whole lot of confluence at the top part of that daily level. Okay, and again, trend follow to the long side, counter trend to the short side, and I think I'll go ahead and move on. Nick, do you have any markets that you like to watch religiously?
I just got into a trade. Do you have pound dollar?
Sure, I think I do. Apparently I don't. Gee. But I can put it on here, so. So what happened on this one?
Well, on my bigger weekly charts, I'm pinched right in between the 200 and the 50, so I kind of had those guys to lean on. Really good, nice supply to the left, which I really liked. And then also, there's a really nice support resistance line right here that I like that goes back pretty far. it's been a nice flip area where we're either above it or below it. So for me, it was nice confluence. And then this thing was trudging up here pretty good. So I was waiting for a setup, and I was actually long in this guy for the longest time, so that was a nice run. But up here, I knew this would be a nice short level, and it was too strong up to want to short it at the time, so I let this guy play around in here and show me that price weakness, and here we got that nice lower low. And then from there, I just was waiting for it to fail this nice drop here, or that double top in there. And got into a nice tight trade when it was stalling out here. Now news came up into there really hard, which was kind of nerve-wracking. I could see it keep busting forward, but it just kept stalling in that area. So I took the trade. But I also knew it was slightly counter-trend to this move in here. So I made sure to take a little bit tighter T1 than I normally would. My T1 was down in here, but there was a really good blast out level right here where it's stalling right now, and that's where I took my T1, and then was able to shorten up my stop, because I'm still, if I break this, I'm going to feel real good, but if we keep holding this, I'm going to be a lot more nervous about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then my T2s and T3s are down in those nice little demand areas that you got there below. But that double top is what really made me like that failure up there.
So on this thing, do you think you would play the T3 all the way down to the bottom of the weekly levels that we can see down there at 45, 65?
That'd be lovely. That'd be lovely. Can we? I could see that 1500 area being a holder.
Mm-hmm.
Southern here and taking a bounce back up off that. Yeah, that might be a great idea. I think I have my T3 right at, just right at 1500 right now.
Just because that's where all that consolidation down there is.
Yeah, it's such a nice area, and I have a trend line break right there. It'd be a perfect retest of a breakout area. A place I'd like to go long in other words.
Well, hey, that's actually a really great place to go long, considering it's in a weekly demand zone. So that's an excellent place. So yeah, you would tighten up the level just a little bit here, huh? Maybe like right around in that, and go from there, huh?
Yeah. And maybe by the time it gets there, maybe I'll just go ahead and stretch it out, and then just trail it on down, and hope I can get down in there. And if it can, it can't.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I'm in the area, I'm a pretty happy camper.
Right. Hey, I would say so too. That's a wonderful level,
Yeah.
But
if I hit 2-2, I'm a happy camper.
Yeah. And technically we're still in a downtrend, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I like about that too, and that's another reason why I took it. And I was like, well, overall in the weekly,
Mm-hmm.
these are short.
Now, how big is your T1 usually, just out of curiosity?
For myself, it's 50 ticks at the moment.
Okay.
And it seems to be a nice number for me. I may expand that out a little bit more, and then my stop is arbitrarily 50 ticks.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm finding that 20, 30 seems to be plenty. Just because where I'm able to get in, like this trade here, I was able to lower it down, I think, like 30 ticks or so. I was able to chop off quite a bit off of that stop, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made it easier to take a quicker T1, because I had a shorter stop and a shorter T1, so that was a perfect little 1-to-1 ratio just to get me in a free trade, and then carry it from there.
That free trade feeling feels pretty good, doesn't it?
So, yeah, especially in a swing trade like that. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And my stop is just literally a few ticks above my entry. Right about in here, there's a Nice little drop, base drop. I have my
Wow.
stop hidden.
So did you use your 5 minute to get into that?
Yeah, yeah. Had a break of a trend line as well on a 5 minute. Um, and then the nice retest to that the basin it dropped away from. So it was a pretty nice little failure because it wasn't too sure because we screened up on news and I could just see a small little pullback and then rip back up. And it had a little pullback, and when it came back up, it failed. So that was no brainer just to go ahead and take that.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it's still working out for you, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's in a really nice little demand zone. It's got a level on level it's coming into.
And just based upon this level, it almost looks like that little red green candle was a retest of this aqua level down here, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's what made me want to tighten it up because I was like, wow, there's some nice day trades right there. I can see the thing snapping back up. And so, I was at a T1 and just play it tight, and if it pops back up, so be it. I mean, it's a pretty strong trend. We could, or it could just range up here too for a while. Who knows? It's kind of range already.
Yeah, it's and it's definitely giving you a lower high to play with.
And it hasn't had a healthy pullback here, and it's been stalling up here for the past few days, so it's could have a nice good drop.
Well, I could easily see if you look at that daily chart, I could easily see a pullback just to these previous highs over here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I could easily see that one.
Yeah, and that's coincidentally right where I have a T2 parked. It's right at that resistant line.
You cut out there for a minute. What was that?
Oh, that's where I got my T2 parked. 200 pips right there, and it lines right up at that resistant line too.
Ah,
I'm definitely aware of that. I mean, that's such a nice little area right there. We could just bounce in between that area and then top of the range again.
mm-hmm. It's very possible. So, but yeah. So, good one. Is there anything else that you're watching right now?
Um, news today really blew through a lot of the setups that I had. So now it's just kind of reset, reboot, and everything's kind of just in wait mode. I don't have anything spectacular yet. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to dig around for stuff.
Well, let's go over to the indexes and see what they look like.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So ES has been doing its thing up here at the top part of well, been making new highs and whatnot. Let's just put it that way. So here on the daily charts, what do we have going on here? Look at how messy this is getting in here.
It's hideous.
That's
Good luck with that.
yeah. It sure feels like people really don't know if they want to see this thing go up any higher. I mean, it just put in a new high, you know. So
And that's why I was so rangy today and choppy is that new high.
mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, do you look for pullback, but to what?
Right. Well, I mean, you could play it off this daily demand again if you wanted
Mm-hmm.
to. Um, I could see that happening. So, yes, the trend is up. I'm just gonna, well, actually, I'm gonna kind of cut that trend line off there, just because I feel like prices closed below that trend line. I don't really like that one so much, but I definitely see that, you know, long above this point is trend follow, folks. It's clear blue skies. um, However, the market is doing it very, very slowly. So, you can kind of feel the uncertainty of the market just in seeing this mess. At least that's how I see it. And this is obviously going to be a counter trend. So, and really, uh, I want to see some conviction. So, I wouldn't mind seeing price drop below this blue zone before I come in here and say counter trend. You know,
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Just treat it as a range trade and just let it break it.
because that's a huge range right there that it can play in, and you don't want to commit too early to the counter trend. You know, so so that's a little bit of what I'm looking at here on ES, and like I said, we just popped above that, so that is interesting. Let's look at gold. Anybody here a big gold trader?
I was hitting that range short, and then it broke out.
You're hitting which range short?
Let's see here.
The one here in gold?
Yes, it kept knocking on your trend trader line there and kept failing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had about 4 shorts in there, and plus it was a magic 1200 number. And every time it would kind of fail, it'd go a little lower each time. So I just kept hitting the shorts every time it pulled back. I had about 3 or 4 shorts in that area. Trying to break that thing down. And I get a T1, T2. I just put the T2s at the bottom of the range, and then my T3 was down in the aqua zone down below.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And on here, I can kind of see this nice little trend line come into place too, so now that we have a new high, yeah, we could bounce off of this daily level, but, maybe play another trend line bounce down here. I could see that. So, it doesn't seem to, like right now we're getting like almost an inside bar here, so maybe we'll see just a little bit more of a wick to the upside here, maybe touching one of these levels and then back down. That trender sure is flat though, so anyway, we will say that this is the start of a new trend up here. Let me do some coloring in some stuff. We'll say this, that if it goes above their new trend up, and then we will also do this to the downside here. So this is right now trend follow to the down, because that trender still is there. We know where this nice little basing zone is. You can see it over there. So we'll just see how it plays out. Okay. And looks like we also have John in here. John, are you there?
Howdy.
Hey.
What's going on?
Not much. Just looking at our markets,
Yeah.
So, so I'm going to be moving over into all the ETFs and stuff. And John, I know that you did some ETFs this week.
I did. Yeah, I did.
On your guys' accounts.
I did a lot of swing trades this week. I'm kind of changing gears for the summer a little bit. Taking and doing less day trading, focusing more on my swing trading. It's kind of my roots, my bread and butter when I started. So yeah, I'd be more than happy to share some of the setups I took this week.
You want to do presenter, or do you want to do it on this?
I'll go ahead and do presenter.
Okay.
I'll show my screen.
Okay.
Doop 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 doop. There, the screen. And do. All right. So there I had GLD up, and let me hit another thing real fast here. Let's see. Doop doo. All right. Let's see if I can get these to all pop out. Yeah, I kind of agree on GLD. I mean, it's kind of, I feel like with this close kind of today, the thing with broad ranges, and we can tell from the weekly, as the guys were saying, it's kind of like this is broad channelish, but, the fact that this was able to come up, test this trender, took this level out, gives it some relevancy for being bottom of a range. So when it accelerates down here as fast as it does, we're able to see it pop, pullbacks, and then we're seeing follow through. Well, that's generally a sign that momentum is changing, and we'll be seeing a nice move up to the top of the range. So there's a lot of magnets on here on GLD, a lot of open gaps, and one of the entries that I missed this week. Let me get all these other screenshots set up.
It sounds like you've planned out quite the presentation for us here.
Oh, I'm just going to show...
maybe you're just documenting that for the mentorship stuff?
Yes. Yeah, I shared about, 10 of the trades that I had this week. I don't know if those are all the same. But here was one, and, the thing of it is, this is a counter trend type of entry. Is it, I mean, you can just tell from the fact, looking at the background, they're both red. When we zoom in out, we can kind of see, this is actually more of a broad range, and here seems to be the extreme. But, the fact that, this is, this is a type of entry that would have been, it has great risk reward, and there's good potential. I wasn't able to fire on it, but, some you miss, some you don't. Let's go ahead and look at some of the others that I had. And I take entries off of, been taking them off. Oh, this is the wrong one. Okay, 30-minute and daily charts. And I'll look at ETFs, and then I also have watch lists where under each sector ETF, I have 10 to 15 stocks for each of those sectors, and I'll just roll through them. If one looks good, we'll put it on the radar. But this market has been trending to the upside, and recently it's gone into a weekly range from 48.80 to 51.52ish, and I have the rectangle that's up there is the weekly zone that I have. But on this entry right here, it was more of waiting for seeing this gap up here to hit this zone. We come back down, we fill this gap, and we hit this nice continuation zone right here, and we start to consolidate. And when I'm doing a deeper pullback type of entry like this, essentially what I was playing was the this trender bounce, or you could really I don't draw trend lines like this, but if you go to a smaller time frame chart, you'd be able to draw a trend line that coordinates with, this like narrow tight trend line that we could see on the daily chart right here. But yeah, a deeper pullback to follow the trend. Don't take the first signal, wait for consolidation to continue. I take the second, and yeah, nice little T1 there.
That's awesome.
This was probably one of my, uh, not my most favorite entry that I took, but the context being that on this weekly, it's been green, and after having this price action event of breaking the trend line from making this higher high in the weekly zone, there's a nice quick move down to retrace this quick move up. So I'm kind of getting the sense, especially after we consolidate here, after making a lower low and we don't, keep puking to the downside, that, buyers did regain momentum here, and we're in a broad range, and we are going to continually push to the upside. Now, I'm not going to close it out this weekend, but I'm definitely going to be watching on Monday, because it's very possible that instead of seeing the shot up here like I would like to see, we continue to just get lots of overlap and easily could have the extreme of this area retested. But we'll see what happens. This was IYR, I think it's real estate, and just another deeper type of pullback trade. It comes, I think there was a weekly zone here, but upon my looked on the daily here, and I was still convinced that this was really kind of how the weekly zone should have been drawn. So when it comes here, I'm waiting for it to consolidate, especially the fact that we started making lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and yeah, we break this trender right here, and we're coming up to it, and we'll see what happens. But I'm kind of expecting, a broad range. That's what's happening in a lot of these markets. FXI, here we're kind of going into a range and end up getting long off this daily single at the bottom of the consolidation and hit the T1 on it, and we'll kind of we'll go from there. What else we got here? IWM. Here I did an entry with a 30-minute playing off the bottom of this weekly consolidation that's happening in this daily zone. And, I'm looking, always want to enter off of pullbacks. And when you're dealing with reversal, bottom of the range type of trades, deeper pullbacks into, these bigger confluence extremes is what I strive to do. So I had a nice pullback here, retesting this zone that was able to, come up, burst through the trender, and, took about a little over a 1-to-1 ratio T1 right here, and we'll see what happens as we get towards the extreme up here. That was the same one.
Now, these are mostly ETFs that you're playing with, right?
ETFs and stocks. I got a long on Google that I took yesterday that I haven't got to yet. I have a long on Ford that I really like right now. So it's really just applying here's the Google long. What else we got? Where's that Ford long? Yeah, this was off a 30-minute right here. And it's all about, when you're doing a counter trend type of extreme trade, it's all about, kind of the way that Nick did that British pound trade. I mean, sure, on the daily chart, after coming to that zone, there's, that's the first red bar. It's it's shown, and it could easily just overlap from there for days, maybe even a week or two. But the fact of the matter is, on a smaller time frame entry chart, waits to see price, show some type of, in that case, selling pressure. That maybe once it pulls out of there initially, it takes out some level, it does something significant. So, there's your kind of confirmation to, be patient and wait for the right type of retest. And if you get that, then it's just, well, all right, if I get the right type of consolidation, then I'll go long. And sometimes that all goes splendidly, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes we have to wait a long time. But yeah, that's kind of what I was doing here on Ford. Context, it's a range type of market, and it's a deeper pullback type of money bounce trade that I'm taking to the upside. So yeah, going for a nice little T1 here. Yeah.
So on these stocks, I know that you usually play with a little bit bigger size. Are you having problems getting filled at all on those?
Well,
Or
not so mainly. I mean, have uh, yeah, I haven't had too much problem with that.
are
I
you
mean,
doing are you
go
doing
ahead.
stop market orders, or what are you
No,
doing?
I market just kind of like
Hmm.
I generally do.
Okay.
Wait for the close, hit market, and I mean the broker that I have to use for my parents certainly is probably on my list of like top five worst brokers that you could use. So you do get nickel and dimer a little bit and don't get the best fill always, but I really just don't worry about that too much. I'm more focused on, you know,
Good
having the
execution.
right process. Yeah, my execution. If I did that right, then I'm a happy clam.
Yeah. So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing all those.
Oh, no problem.
You've really gone to town this week. I can tell.
Yeah, there's it, and this week wasn't too yeah, it was kind of just a choppy week in most instances.
Hmm.
But we'll see what happens next week. Oh, I don't know why that didn't pull up like that, but yeah. Here, I'll give back control.
Oh, thank you, John, for sharing. Really appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much concludes our normal session here of the recording that we do. But now for everybody in the live audience, please stay tuned and we'll get into some general thoughts and questions, all that kind of good stuff. So we will see you next week.